guys, it's Nicole and welcome back to my channel. You're probably wondering what I'm doing here again with coconut husk. So about a week ago, I repotted two of my Vandas into coconut husk. This is a mixture that I'm testing out. And I got a lot of comments on the video on what sort of husk I was using. Someone even mentioned that, it's a pain in the butt to clean it up and they don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how I prepare this coconut husk so that it's ready for use. Honestly, guys, all it takes is 5 minutes of prep work. You just leave it soaking overnight. You rinse it a couple of times first and then you're all set. So I'm going to show you how I clean this, why I clean it, and I'm also going to give you a quick update on my Vanda. So let's start with my Vanda and then I will show you how I take care of this coconut husk. So quick update. We've got a new flower spike on Ascophoenicia peaches. So I'm super excited. Looks like so far everything's going well. My initial impressions of the coconut husk is that it dries really fast. So I thought it would stay more moist than I expected, but I'll say that when I water in the summer, it's really hot right now. It's about 90 degrees. Every day, some days a little bit more warm. I use a pump sprayer, so I'm not soaking these guys for a while. So my method of watering is not really saturating everything. It feels wet on the bottom. You could sort of see with the clay pot where there's water, but I'm hopeful with this flower spike. Now with that being said, I do have a full brick of coconut husk and I don't mind testing things out for a while to see how they work out for me. But you got to try out and see what works for you. It takes a lot of experimentation to find the optimal setup. And then once you've given it a go with a bunch of different orchids, I think you're in a good spot to know what works out well for you. So let's prep that coconut husk. Alrighty, so first of all, let me show you what I got. I got this on Amazon. It's linked down below if you want to check it out. I think it's sold out at the moment, but I wanted to try other things because it's really hard to get sphagnum moss at times. I don't know if you guys here in the United States are having issues. I know that my friends out in Australia are having a really hard time getting sphagnum moss. I think it's so crazy because they're neighbors to New Zealand, but there's been a lot of supply issues, and I think this is more sustainable even than bark, and then it's good not to rely on one thing. But anyway, this is also reptile bedding. So the brand is Exoterra. This is not specifically meant for orchids. I think I paid $3.99 for this when it was in stock. So it's super economical. It's something that is more eco-friendly and more renewable. Now, it's super cheap too. So I was buying Repot Me bark mixes, which are really expensive. And sphagnum moss can be expensive as well, but $3.99 for this brick. This is the leftover part that I have of the coconut husk. So I have a bucket that we're gonna saturate this with, and I'll show you what I do to get this all nice and clean. All right, so I've got it in this bucket container here, and then we want to wash it. Even though the label says that it's triple washed and heat treated, you really don't know. A lot of coconuts grow near the ocean, so they may have salt deposits on it. So even if they say triple washed, you always want to wash it because you don't want to risk that perhaps they didn't wash it, or perhaps there's some salts in here that can really mess with your orchids. So ideally what we want to do is we're going to rinse this out. We're going to break this apart. This will actually be a lot of husk. I just want to wash it at once to get it out of the way. We do it once and then we don't have to worry. Then we'll rinse it 2 times. Then once we soak it twice, we're going to give it one last soak overnight. I might soak a few more times before I give that overnight soak. But after the first few soaks, what we're going to do is we're going to leave it soaking overnight in a solution of CalMag, and that'll leach excess potassium out and make sure that this is squeaky clean. Big shout out to Sir McCarthy for all of the guidance and the recommendations on using this. So I'm happily going to use this brick to see if it works out for me. If it works out, perfect. I have another tool in my arsenal that I can use, especially when there's sphagnum moss shortages, or You know, maybe I don't feel like spending $20 for a bag of Repot Me mix. Maybe this works out better for some orchids over others, but we will figure this out. So let's get to soaking this. Alrighty, I'm gonna put some warm water in here. And this will grow. And the whole purpose is we want to just break it apart. We want to do it once, and we don't want to have to fuss with it too many times. I think it was Yoshi, I'm talking to you here. You said that you can't be bothered by soaking. Literally, you could just do this once and you're all set and you're good to go and you don't really have to worry. So it's literally 5 minutes of active time and you're good. Do you see how this is breaking apart? Okay, that's enough water for now. I'm just gonna rip this apart. I think I'm gonna add some charcoal to this as well. I like the idea of having some charcoal in there for aeration, even though this is super, super airy. But I like adding charcoal to some of my mixes. As you can see, you're ripping this apart, and this is actually coming out really easily. It almost looks like a bird nest. All right, let me get more water in there. You can sort of see it's a little bit gunky. All right. I'm gonna dump this out real quick and come back. First rinse is done. That water came out a little bit bronzy. We are going to soak this once more. We'll do a couple more times real quick. Just make sure that this is completely saturated. Some people also like to check the TDS of the water to make sure that every possible bit of salt has been taken out. Not only salt, but all of the minerals all together. I don't think that's necessary. I don't get that maniacal about it, but you can if you have very sensitive orchids that need distilled water, for instance. You're probably going to need to do that. This water is warm. I think I'm going to let it sit here a minute or so, and then I am going to rinse again, and then we will let it sit with a solution of CalMag. All right, I rinsed it again, and we're ready for our third rinse. But before we move on, I'm going to check the TDS of the water just for the heck of it to see what we've got here. All right, so we have 206 parts per million up in here. So there is some gunk in there. So what I'm going to do, just because I am a little bit strapped for time, I'm going to rinse this out one more. I'm going to check again. Then I'm going to soak it again with CalMag. And then I'm going to leave that overnight to leach out any excess salts and potassium. And then what I'm going to do in the morning is rinse that off after it's soaked overnight and leave it in water till I'm ready to repot. I'll rinse once more and then we'll be set. Alrighty, we're adding another batch of water. When I said soak it 2 times, you could definitely soak it more, you could definitely soak it longer. I don't have too much time, but I think you can get a head start in prepping it in 5 minutes, and then you can just give it one rinse, one good rinse before you're about to use it. So let's check on the TDS once more. Let's see how, wow, okay. Much lower. I feel really good about this. So my water has 30 parts per million in it. New York City water is very good. We get it literally from Hudson Valley or the Catskills. Sometimes they change the reservoir. But I'm pretty happy with this. This isn't bad. And this was the third soak. So I feel good. So what I'm going to do is, I'm very happy with this. Our New York City tap water is pretty good. I only have 30 parts per million in my water, so I water all of my orchids with tap water. I don't mess with RO water just because I don't need to, thankfully. That's one of the perks of living in New York City with your orchids. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna add some CalMag. I'm gonna put about 500 parts per million of CalMag. I'm gonna just drip it here and spot check it with my TDS meter. We're gonna leave that overnight. And then overnight, what we'll do is it'll just soak. It'll just be inactive, leaching any excess salts from the coconut husk. And then in the morning, we'll give it a rinse. Then I'll leave it soaking in that water for a couple of hours until I use it. So I think if you prep this, literally 5 minutes, maybe maximum of 10 minutes, just rinsing it a couple of times, leaving some CalMag in there. In the morning, rinse that off. And then when you're ready to, you're gonna soak it once more, and then when you're ready to use it, it's gonna be much cleaner than when you started. When I'm ready to use it, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some charcoal. I'm gonna clean the charcoal off first by rinsing it out, and then I'll just add it to this mix. And then we've got husk for days. So this is an 11-liter container, I believe, and this stuff goes a long way. All right, guys, let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below. Thank you so much to Michael McCarthy for his guidance on this. I always like to try new things. Again, you never know when something's sold out or if there's a material out of stock, especially during the pandemic, or if there's a supply chain issues, or if you got another cargo ship stuck in the Suez Canal. Like, you never know. So it's good to have backup options and not specifically rely on something. That's just my experience, and I like to be a little bit more versatile on what I'm using. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more orchid content like this. Take care, guys. More repotting soon. Bye, everyone.